Good morning. Let us look at the poem The Garden or Thoughts in a Garden by Andrew Marvell. The introduction. The Garden by Andrew Marvell is a unique poem which is romantic in its expression, metaphysical in its word game, and classical in its music. It is romantic because it is about the nature in subject and theme, and it is the expression of the poet's personal and emotional feelings about life in the nature and society. The real objective of Andrew Marvell in writing The Garden seems to have been to establish the superiority of a contemplative life over a life of action. True contemplation, according to the poet, is possible only in the green shade of a tree in a garden. A garden offers quiet and repose, and here one can enjoy the pleasures of the mind and soul as well as the pleasures of the sense. A life of action, on the other hand, is futile, and men make a mistake in spending their time in feverish endeavors in order to win honors in different fields of life. The summary of the poem. The Garden is basically a poem about someone who thinks that hanging out in nature is the best thing a person could do. And being able to hang in nature by yourself is good. But the poem does not start out that way. In fact, the poem opens far, far away from Marvell's garden world with a condemnation of society. It criticizes men who work there. It criticizes men who tire themselves out to gain public recognition. And by doing this, they are losing out. All that time in the office means they are not spending time in the great outdoors. And according to Marvell, have got their priorities all mixed up. Next, the speaker talks about how he used to look for quiet and innocence in society, but has discovered that even the best that mankind has to offer isn't as wonderful as the solitude of nature. A point that explains why trees are better than girlfriends. And just in case anyone remains unconvinced, the speaker calls in some Greek mythology. Even classical gods like Apollo and Pan, he says, liked plants better than people. Stanza 5 makes a shift in the speaker's argument that from nature versus society into pure praise for the awesomeness of nature, epitomized by the idea of the garden. Wherever this garden is, the speaker is clearly excited about the idea of spending lots of time there. There is lots of delicious fruit, so many melons that you can't even find space to walk, and a nice cushy grass to fall on in case you get too drunk on all the wine that luscious clusters of grapes are dripping into your mouth. बच्चों, यहाँ पे मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी कि जिस शब्द का आपको अर्थ नहीं समझ में आता, आप उस शब्द को लिख लें और फिर उसको आपके गूगल में सर्च करके उसका अर्थ इंग्लिश और हिंदी दोनों में ढूंढ लें. यहाँ पर मेलन्स, जिसको हम तरबूज कहते हैं, वो मेलन कहलाता है इंग्लिश में. खरबूजा मस्क मेलन होता है और तरबूज वाटरमेलन होता है. कुशी यानी कि जो सॉफ्ट, थिक हो लेकिन सॉफ्ट हो, जिससे पे गिरने से चोट न लगे. Marvell then takes things up a little and starts talking about spiritual things like the mind and the soul. It's complicated language, but the speaker is basically saying that being in the garden allows the mind to be at its best and the soul to be its most content. And what would be extremely awesome for the mind and soul would be the opportunity to enjoy the garden alone. In biblical terms, Adam would have been better off if Eve never existed. The poem concludes with some images of God as a gardener and clockmaker and compares the flowers in the garden to a super huge sundial by which humankind can measure their lives. The garden begins with the speaker reflecting upon the vanity and inferiority of man's devotion to public life in politics, war, and civic service. Instead, the speaker values a retreat to fair quiet and its sister innocence in a private garden. The speaker portrays the garden as a space of sacred plants, removed from society and its rude demands. He praises the garden for its shade of lovely green, which he sees as superior to the white and red hues, means color, that commonly signify passionate love. The speaker claims that when passion has run its course, love turns people towards a contemplative life surrounded by nature. He praises the abundance of fruits and plants in the garden, imagining himself tripping over melons and falling upon the grass. Meanwhile, his mind retreats into a state of inner happiness, allowing him to create and contemplate other worlds and other seas. The speaker then returns to addressing the garden, where he envisions his soul releasing itself from his body and perching in the trees like a bird. Perching means sitting. जिस तरीके से एक चिड़िया जब किसी डाल पर बैठती है, सो वो इंग्लिश में कहलाता है पर्चिंग. He compares the scene to the happy garden state of Eden, the biblical paradise in which God created Adam and Eve. The poem ends with the speaker imagining the garden as its own cosmos, with a sun running through a fragrant zodiac and with an industrious bee whose work computes the passage of time. Compute means calculates the passage of time. Its style is metaphysical because it uses the conceit, forceful argument, allusions means references from sources like the Bible, myths, and metaphysical philosophies. And it is a classical poem in its form because the stanzas, rhythm, rhyme, and word choice is like in classical poetry, carefully perfected form, and a language different from the ordinary. The theme is that the garden, which is the symbol of life in nature, is the perfect place for physical, mental, and spiritual comfort and satisfaction, unlike the society where pleasure is false and temporary. The poet has finally found the nature and realized its value. He claims that the nature is the only true place for complete luxury. The Garden is a unique metaphysical poem which is romantic in its subject matter and also contains classical elements in its diction, meter, and structure. The poem is written in heroic couplet, which deals with the poet's experience of feelings and ideas about the garden that represents the nature. The poet begins by comparing the nature with society and social life and criticizing the society and busy worldly life. In the first stanza, The speaker criticizes men who vainly amaze themselves by putting a garland of a few leaves and believing they have achieved victory, prestige, and reward for all their endless labors. But in fact, the true and complete pleasure lies in the complete garland of repose in nature. And believing they have achieved victory, prestige, and reward for all their endless labors. But in fact, the true and complete pleasure lies in the complete garland of repose in the nature. In the second stanza, he personifies the quietness and innocence in the nature and speaks of them, saying that he has at last found them for losing his time in men's company. Then he calls the trees amorous, means sexually playful or powerful, expressing such an odd emotion and attachment with trees. He criticizes lovers for cutting trees to write their beloved's names. In the fourth stanza, he claims that when men's heart of love and youth is finished, they turn to nature. According to the speaker, even the gods did this when, for example, Apollo and Pan changed their lovers into trees. In the second part of the poem, this is stanzas 3 to 7, the speaker develops his arguments and opinions about the nature. In the fifth stanza, he gives a very sensuous description about his physical pleasure. In the sixth, he argues that his pleasure is moreover mental. Here he uses an odd metaphysical, philosophical idea that the mind contains another world and garden as well inside it. In the seventh stanza, he further claims that this pleasure has a spiritual aspect. He romanticizes how he feels. He feels as if his soul is singing and gliding from tree to tree as a bird, combing its feathers and preparing for the eternal flight of salvation. Salvation यानी कि मोक्ष, यानी कि जब हमारी आत्मा को इस जन्म मृत्यु के चक्कर से मुक्ति मिल जाती है. Here is also an indirect allusion of the Holy Spirit of the Bible. The third and last part of the poem is the conclusion, stanzas 8 and 9. Before making the concluding remark that there can be no question of genuine pleasure without the nature, the speaker compares himself with the lonely Adam in Eden. He also argues that being lonely was a second paradise, means a heavenly state for Adam, before Eve brought about the fall. In the ninth stanza, the speaker thanks God for creating a unique world or of its own, that is the garden. The garden or nature in general has its own time. The rush and hurry of the society does not apply here. Even the sun seems to have its own sweet course. The garden is therefore the only source of true physical, mental, as well as spiritual satisfaction and repose. Repose means rest. As a metaphysical poem, the garden uses conceit, wit, far fetched images and allusions, and a dramatic situation. The balance of emotion and intellect is also another metaphysical feature. The romantic myths about God, Apollo, and Pan is changing girls and enjoying the nature. The biblical allusion of Adam's lonely happiness are heterogeneous ideas yoked by violence together within the context of the argument. The trees and peace of the garden are personified and even sexualized. The argument about physical pleasure is twisted into the argument about mental pleasure. At that point, the poet brings a truly metaphysical idea about the mind. He argues, according to a medieval philosophy, that his mind is an ocean of all the things and images of the real world. He further extends the idea of pleasurable experience by arguing that his pleasure is actually spiritual. There he goes on to create the imagery of his soul flying like a dove and preparing for the eternal flight of salvation. The same idea of spiritual pleasure is also related to the comparison with Adam in Eden. The last stanza also contains another metaphysical element, the idea of the garden as a separate sundial. The poem is also a dramatic and emotional expression of personal feelings, which is at the same time balanced with witty and intellectual ideas and allusions. This unified sensibility also gives the poem another feature of metaphysical poetry. As a classical poem, the poem exhibits the qualities like the use of a different poetic diction, heroic couplet, careful rhythm and design, classical and educated allusions, and so on. The poem's main line of argument is not difficult to summarize, but there are so many difficult words and even ordinary words used in unusual sense. Many sentences have a Latin like word order with the verb at the end and so on. There is a classical perfection in its meter and design and structure as a whole. The main theme of the poem is that peaceful life in the nature is more satisfying than social life and human company. The poem is striking in its sensuous imagery, witty ideas, and a balance between romantic and classical elements, as well as its metaphysical qualities. We will stop here for now and we will start with the line wise explanation in the next session. In other words, we will look at the actual text of the poem in the next session. Thank you.